Oh, hey there, Cupcake. How's it going? Yeah? No, yeah, new in town. You come here often? Oh, you work here? Kinda look a little too old to be working here, right? 17? In this state? I mean, practically illegal, right? Yeah, no, I'm just here taking care of my mom and, trying to make a go of it and do some good here and all that. But, man, 17? Yeah, I mean, you look like you could pass for at least, I don't know, like 24, 25, something like that. You, I don't ask everybody this, but you ever done porn before?
This fucking close. The dog's like, oh, he's a good man. I can tell by his nice energy.
Your persona non grata.
And today we have Red Rocket. So Red Rocket is another one of those movies that is quickly becoming a part of, I don't know if there's a specific like genre for it at this point or not. I'm just kind of referring to them as the anxiety attack movies. Basically, like, I mean, you can put it on this list, but lower tier. But I mean, you basically have Red Rocket, and then above this, I've covered on my channel before, you have Zola, and then it just goes up from there. You have Good Time, and then eventually you have the, hands down, the king of anxiety attack films, Uncut Gems. Red Rocket is marketed as like mostly a comedy. It's like this guy who is an adult male film porn star or whatever, who through incidents in his life ends up going back to like his hometown, I guess, work and get back on his feet. And they make it seem in the trailers as if he's like, oh, well, he seems like he's not great, he's a little bit incorrigible, but he seems like an okay guy who just has some attitude problems or something like that. What they don't tell you, and I'll tell you because I don't think it spoils anything, but it's good to know going into it. The lead in this movie is he's a piece of shit, honestly. Good actor, the role is very well acted, but this guy is like, oh my god, I think I put it best. After this movie, I just felt like slimy. Or like during parts of this movie, I'm just watching it, I'm just like, oh god, like this guy's getting away with so much. Yeah, Red Rocket came out technically last year. I watched it last year before the new year, so it's a 2021 release. So tail end of 2021, Red Rocket came out, directed by Sean Baker, who has his kind of share of making films like this. Just I think somebody on TikTok I follow put it best. He's good at making films about just really shitty people, and I wouldn't call this film an anxiety attack inducer. It's not quite up to that level, but it's still a great film. He did the Florida Project. That might be what you would know about his filmography the most. The funniest part about this is that, so this film, in terms of the star power, it's mostly no names. Like there are, I mean, the girl that he's trying to induct here, she's been in some stuff before, but the lead, Simon Rex, I didn't recognize him, and I'm so upset that I didn't. He has a filmography. If you're like me, what you know him most from, this is the guy from the Scary Movie series. He was from the Scary Movies, like Scary Movie 1, 2, 3, like the OG king of the parody films in the early 2000s. And now he's here doing, I mean, arguably a serious role that still has comedic elements to it. He plays kind of a similar character, but for the most part, it's like it's still a dramatic role. I consider this more like professional acting debut. I thought he plays the character very well. Did I like the character that he played? No, that type of guy that exists out there disgusts me. It's the guy that just won't shut his fucking mouth and keeps on talking himself up. A big game. He's the king of the sales pitch. Keeps on taking up until the very moment where he needs to give just enough to get himself to get by and earn some goodwill. I think somebody in the movie puts it best. It's just this guy's like a suitcase pimp. I liked the performance. Like it's good. It was a well acted performance. Rest of the cast, I mean, everybody also is serviceable. There's nobody of a special note to be like, oh, also watch out for this person. I just think the rest of the cast did a good job. Feel free to look them up, but there's so many roles that you could say are more important than others, or some that are more nuanced, but I think he's the star of the show. And then of course you have, you know, his on again off again wife and this girl that he's trying to like groom, and there's just it's a lot to get into. So yeah, we've all established that he just plays an unapologetic dirtbag very well. And the movie is another one of those like human movies. Some people would call it like a slice of life type of film. If that's the case, it's not a life that I would particularly enjoy living, but it does show, you know, you always see films that are the AAA blockbusters that are always, you know, the high-flying action, or even like, oh, here's the, you know, upper middle class family or the down on your luck family living in an apartment complex here, or condos here, houses there. This film is like, no, we're gonna go to a trailer park in the middle of bumfuck Texas. And this is like the down-to-earth, like what you would refer to as the redneck or the working class. I mean, it's whether you take offense to that term or not, it's just like what people would use verbiage-wise. But it's these humans where the nicest meal you have nearby is a shitty off-brand donut shop or some like, you know, oh, we're gonna go to McDonald's today. That's our feast of feasts. That's our ribeye steak. I do like the film because it's another one of those films where when you're watching this, you're watching Uncut Gems, you're watching Zola. It's not glorifying the actions of anybody on screen. It's not showing you people having a good time necessarily. It's almost like these films are the warnings. This man is a walking red flag, and all these films kind of are showcases of what to watch out, the reminders of the dangers of someone like this, who's like, you know, opportunistic men especially. Not to say there aren't also shitty women, but a lot of the bottom of the barrel of society, the most heinous acts and deeds are often perpetrated by men like these, who are trying to, in this case, you happen across a young gal who's pretty and who's grown into an even prettier woman, and you're like, how can I use her for my personal gain? But then you masquerade the following actions and what you say and what you do as, you know, oh, I'm helping you. I'm doing all this for you. And it's that perfect cocktail of gaslighting and guilt tripping and just, I hate this behavior. I hate it so much. But he gets away with a lot of it in the movie, and a lot of people like him exist out there and get away with that shit, especially poor women that are young and naive and haven't been cultured and grown enough to the world where you can like watch out for this, and you see these what would normally be warning signs, and you just take that as acceptable behavior because it's, you know, hot, or oh, he's older, he must know what he's talking about, or that makes him cooler, this is sexier. Like, it's a crazy, messed up world that we live in, and, you know, it goes all the way from the top to the bottom. There's corruption and terrible, like icky, slimy people out there everywhere, and this film is a reminder of that. I like the shots in this film. It's not like, there's not a whole lot of room to be crazy about the directing, because there's not like an abundance of action sequences or intense moments. However, there are some like artsier shots day and night. They play around with kind of color palettes here and there, grainy-ish camcorder feel. I think I've brought it up in previous films before. Like Zola, for example. You're watching this and you're wondering the whole time, you're like, is this something I'm supposed to be watching? This feels like a little bit too intimate, a little bit too real. This film does that well, again. I mean, same thing with, like, you know, Florida Project or even Uncut Gems. You're watching and you're like, is this a movie, or am I just like watching somebody's like really shitty series of days? I do have some cons to docket. I mean, these are all mostly, as all reviews for this case would be, these are like personal gripes. I think the trailer is misleading, which normally wouldn't be a big problem for me, but the trailer definitely markets this as a comedy, potentially dark comedy. I think it gets even like darker, and given the subject matter and material and all that, I think the trailer for Zola showcased well enough what the movie was going to be like, and even the trailer for Uncut Gems showcases enough of what it's going to be like. Probably even Good Time, but I think that, especially with the Backstreet Boys headlining the trailer soundtrack, I thought that they market this film as more of a comedy, and you will laugh. Like, I laughed at a bunch of moments throughout, but sometimes when I'm laughing, it's only out of a pure defense mechanism of, this is kind of awkward, what he's doing is so bad right now, all I can do is laugh. Like, also, I found the story interesting, but I didn't find the narrative to be like gripping, engaging. There's certainly some stakes, I guess you could say. Like, personal stakes for our main character, but since the main character is an unapologetic dirtbag piece of shit slimeball, I don't really feel too bad. Like, there's some moments early on where I'm like, oh, look at that, look what he means well, maybe he's doing this, he's got an attitude, he could be quirky, but perhaps he's well-intentioned. No, not at all. This is a character that I don't think any sane person is really going to be able to successfully get behind. And because of that, I'm not able to really hold on. I can only hope for the people that are around him that they will not be too drastically affected, or that they will come to their senses and realize what this man is doing. But that's probably the most you'll be invested in the film, is hoping people come around and realize what is going on. It's a good film showcasing a shitty person, but it's like you're watching a 20-car pileup, you know? It's just like, it's interesting enough, and it's just like dark enough and interesting enough where you can't really look away, even though you know that you probably should. You could probably go in and help or do anything besides keep watching. But with this movie, I'm just like, oh, this is so bad, but like, I gotta see what happens. And not to poo-poo on the movie, it's not a bad movie. Just for me personally, it's not a movie that I would like. I'm glad that I saw it. I might watch it again. I add it to my list of like anxiety attack films, that kind of genre that I refer to anyway affectionately. I don't know if I'd say it's worth it in theaters. I would say maybe stream this one. Judging it as a film and also my personal preference, I would give it a high 3 out of 5. A high 3 out of 5. But, I mean, you can go your life and skip this one. I think it's an interesting film. It's entertaining, but you gotta be really comfortable with watching somebody do a bunch of shitty stuff on screen. Thank you guys and gals so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next review of whatever I do. And goodbye, travelers.